Good morning. My name is Mike Fortman, and I humbly serve as the publisher of TH Media and Vice President of Woodward Community Media. I'd like to welcome everybody to the second annual Savvy Over 60 Awards Breakfast. At TH Media, the two most important things we do are provide local community journalism in the area and provide an unmatched advertising and marketing results through our digital and print platforms. When it comes to providing local community journalism, I believe we lead the way. We understand our place. It's local, local, local. If you want to know the latest on what's going on between the United States and Iran, I doubt that TH Media is the first place you're going to come. If you want to know what's going on with the Cubs and the White Sox game last night, again, we're probably not the first place you're going to. But if you want to know what's going on about a new restaurant in the old milk house, it's TH Media. If you want to know how hard the community of Dubuque worked to land early morning service out of the Dubuque Regional Airport on a daily basis, the TH is where you're going. If you want to know what's going on with the City Council and the school board, we've got you covered. And if you want to know who the athlete of the week is, you'll find it in the pages of TH Media. And of course, if you want to know who the savviest over 60 are in the area, you're going to find it in TH Media. In today's TH, you found 5 local stories and 3 local pictures in the first 2 pages. Local reporters had stories from Dubuque, Manchester, and Southwest Wisconsin. In our sports section, you found 4 local stories and 3 local photos in the first 3 pages, covering teams from Dubuque-Wahlert, Dubuque Senior, West Delaware, and Dyersville-Beckman. Ladies and gentlemen, that does not happen in every community in the country. And I would put our editorial team up against any community newspaper in the United States. Thank you. Doing events like Savvy Over 60 help support our mission of providing local community journalism. We're really excited about this year's Savvy Over 60 award recipients, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the stories of Melanie, Louise, Andrew, Barry, and Steve. At this time, I would like to turn the podium over to our Master of Ceremonies. Amy Gilligan has served as our executive editor at the Telegraph-Herald since 2017, and in fact, yesterday, she celebrated her 35-year anniversary with the Telegraph-Herald. She is an award-winning journalist, a passionate mentor, and an incredible leader. Please welcome to the stage my friend, Amy Gilligan.
Good morning. So we're really excited to be here today, and we're happy you could join us to celebrate this class of Savvy Over 60 award recipients. You know, every company and institution and organization has at some point reaped the benefits of a seasoned leader. These individuals are vital, and they're the keepers of institutional knowledge who can share vast experience and decades of partnerships to better serve their organizations. We see these folks as our local sages, and we thought it was time to recognize those in the community who are savvy over 60. I'll turn 60 later this year, and the older I get, the better I understand and respect the sacrifices that these sages are making. Because here's the thing about this age that our up-and-coming rising stars don't necessarily know. Stuff gets real. Our industries are changing, and just because you're on the later end of your career doesn't mean you get a pass on new technologies and adapting and innovating. And all that is just as important as ever. Yet we're at an age where we've lost more loved ones, and we've dealt with health issues, and we've experienced career challenges and seen the world change around us. It'd be awfully easy to say, you know what, I'm going to retire at 60 and go to Florida and play more golf and sit on the lanai and have a cocktail every happy hour. But today we're here to celebrate people like our winners who said, nope, I've got work left to do. I've got knowledge yet to share, and I'm called to continue to make a difference. So we reached out to our community and our readers, and we asked them to tell us who they saw as those kinds of individuals. And we received dozens of nominations, all of them outstanding. Together, our committee chose 5 incredible individuals to be recipients of this award, and today we're proud to highlight those people. So first I want to say we've got a number of people here from TH Media, and I'd like to introduce the members of our team. You can hold your applause. There's a bunch of us here, but if you guys would just stand so everybody can see who you are, give a wave. Our president and CEO of Woodward Communications, Tom Woodward. Met our publisher, Mike Fortman. Our director of journalism, philanthropy, and college student partnerships, Bob Woodward. Director of digital operations, Matt Connolly. Our multimedia specialist is Tom Eckerman, and he created all the videos that you'll see today. And Tom is assisted today by Dale Campbell and Dwayne Vetter on cameras here. Our photo editor, Dave Kettering. Digital subscription and customer service manager, Ben White. Our director of sales is Andy Commence. Our advertising manager is Luke Rodham. And our classified advertising supervisor is Tricia Nelson. We have several advertising account executives here as well. Wendy Vosberg, Marty Korfman, Taylor Chapman, Todd Arendt, Ty Bailey, and Daniel Coyle. Jody Dodd is our marketing manager, and Jody is responsible for all these kinds of events that we have, and Allie Burke is the marketing and events coordinator, and so special thanks to you two for setting this up today. So that's our team. Thanks for being here. Before we get to our awards, I want to introduce our speaker today, who I know has inspired many of us. Terry Hawks Goodman recently retired as Director of Strategic Partnerships for the City of Dubuque, and she served several years as Assistant City Manager, where she led initiatives focused on community development and strategic growth. She spent 18 years as a key leader in the creation of the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium. Terry and her daughter Ellen, former THer, are collaborating as Hawks Goodman and Associates, where they're guiding the Bring It Home campaign for the Field of Dreams, which is now owned by Iowans and a nonprofit organization. Terry and her husband John have 4 adult children and 5 grandchildren. Terry and I are actually shirt-tail relatives, descended from the same line of strong women, and we're both proud to lean into that. So please welcome Terry Hawks Goodman.
Thank you, Amy. We actually are related through the Tysons, so that's the relationship there. And as many of you know, or may not know, but Keith Ray and I discovered we're also cousins because we were coming home from a Vision Iowa presentation one day several years ago, and we started talking about our great-grandparents and realized that his grandfather is my great-grandmother's brother. So just know it's Dubuque. It's Dubuque here, but I just want to, first of all, I want to thank the TH. Because this is the Savvy Over 60 set, many of you will remember Regina Tebow, who helped during the America's River campaign. She came to town, she was from Chicago, and she helped to preserve the Ripro Valley. I know some of you, that's going to be Greek, but there was one thing that she came to Jerry Ensler and I and to our board of directors and said, and that is, she said, don't forget as you're working so hard to build community to celebrate. She said, celebration is so important. And I think, and we thought at the time, wow, you know, of course we have to do that because to sustain yourself over time, the work of community building is very challenging. And so I just want to recognize the Telegraph Herald for making us stop, for the Rising Stars, for the Savvy Over 60s, for the Women of Achievement, and for the First Citizen Awards, and letting us just sit back and say, okay, let's just stop and celebrate some of the incredible partners we have in this great town, Dubuque, Iowa, and in this region, the Driftless, by the way, celebrate one another and the great things that we accomplish. So I do want to thank the TH, and I also want to say, Bob Woodward, I know that I still owe you my pledge for the TH's effort, philanthropic effort, to make sure Dubuque maintains an independent and quality locally led newspaper that keeps news here. Just as we all know, a free press is essential to democracy, and we're grateful to have the TH always focusing on our community and the people who are here and the activities that we enjoy and the dreams that we pursue. So thank you to the TH. And as long as I'm a little off script, I'm going to go a little more off script. And just please support this, because this isn't because we're cousins, but because I think you will never see her name in the TH as a Savvy Over 60 or a First Citizen, but because I think the work she does deserves recognition. And so I'd like you to join me in recognizing Senior Editor Amy Gilligan for two things. One, her 35-year anniversary of service to the TH, and secondly, for demonstrating that what true courage looks like in the face of life's greatest challenges. Last year, when confronted with an aggressive breast cancer diagnosis, Amy made a choice that defines the very essence of journalism and community leadership. Rather than stepping back from public life, Amy chose transparency. Rather than silence, she chose her voice. Rather than hiding her struggle, Amy transformed it into a beacon of hope and connection for countless readers of our local newspaper. Through her editorial contributions, Amy has shared not just the medical realities of her treatment, but the deeply human experience of facing this uncertainty with grace. Her willingness to be vulnerable in print created something remarkable, a bridge between the newsroom and the community that goes far beyond what traditional journalism provides. Amy has shown readers that strength isn't about facing challenges alone, it's about facing them with honesty and openness. Amy's decision to document her journey publicly demonstrates the profound trust that she places in our community and the profound responsibility that she feels toward her readers. In sharing her trials and tribulations, Amy reminded us, all of us, that behind every story is a human being, and authentic leadership often means showing up exactly as you are, especially when it's hardest to do. This is journalism at its most essential, using the power of storytelling not just to inform, but to connect, to comfort, and to inspire. Amy has proven that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's feeling that fear and choosing to serve your community anyway. Amy's contributions to the editorial page made it more than a space for opinion. It was transformed into a place of healing, of hope, and of human connection. Through her words, she has given others permission to face their own challenges with equal bravery. Thank you, Amy, for showing us your extraordinary courage. You have shown us that true leadership means being willing to be seen in our struggles, and that the most powerful editorials sometimes come from the most personal places. Your bravery And to close, your bravery has touched countless lives and strengthened the bond between the Telegraph Herald and the greater Dubuque community. You exemplify what it means to be both a journalist and a woman of exceptional character. Thank you, Amy, for all that you've given us. And now for the show. I heard that. I've got an echo down here at the front table. Thank you. This morning, we are gathering not just to acknowledge achievement, but to celebrate something far more precious. the cultivation of wisdom through service, the persistence of passion across decades, and the quiet tenacity that builds communities, one relationship, one decision, one act of service at a time. The 5 individuals we are honoring today represent something essential about community leadership and their achievements. They understand that true impact isn't measured in single acts of brilliance, but in the steady accumulation of dedication, the deepening of insight, and the willingness to show up day after day and year after year for something larger than themselves. The first person I'd like to recognize is Louise Camus. And Louise and I were talking this morning, but I did the calculations. We met 52 years ago as classmates at Clark College. Yeah, that begins to indicate the Savvy Over 60 title here. But when I had a job, I worked for Clark after I graduated for 2 years in the admissions office. But Louise was still in school, and still already producing fine art. And my very first purchase with my first paycheck was O Eliza, which was a screen print done by Louise Camus, and it still graced our home until recently when Ellen asked if she could have it hanging in her home. So now it's over at Nellie's house. But I just want to recognize our personal relationship, Louise. But you've spent decades not just creating art, but cultivating artists as well. What Louise understands that only comes with time is that true artistic legacy isn't measured only in gallery walls, although Louise's legacy is certainly there, but it's also in the hands that she's guided, in the eyes that she opened, in the creative courage that she has instilled in countless students over the years. Through the evolution of art education, the changing technologies, the shifting cultural landscapes, Louise has remained steadfast in her belief that art is not a luxury but a necessity for community building. It's a vital force for community understanding and expression. We can see Louise's enduring passion and how she speaks about her students and their growth and experiences, their successes, with the same excitement that she probably felt decades ago as she grew and developed her own skills and talents. And we also see her passion in her continued scholarly work that bridges academic rigor with accessible beauty. Because of Louise's commitment, Dubuque and our entire region doesn't just appreciate art, we create it, we live it, and we understand the power it has to bind us together. Thank you, Louise, for your contributions to our community. And Melanie Dill. Welcome and welcome, Mark. I know it takes a team when you do this work. Melanie works at St. Mark's Youth Enrichment Center. And again, our daughter Ellen worked there years ago and at the TH and now with me. But I'm very familiar with St. Mark's, and it's been a critical component to building and saving the lives of young people who are often at risk in our community after school and during the summer. So I am familiar with the program and proud of it and proud to have had a little piece of supporting it. And Melanie, congratulations on your award. But you have dedicated your career to the hours that matter most, those precious after school and summer alone hours for many children when young lives hang in the balance between possibility and peril. What Melanie understands that only comes with time is that intervention isn't just about preventing problems, but it's about planting seeds of hope in soil that others might consider barren. Through funding cuts, policy changes, and the heartbreak that comes oftentimes with working with some of our most vulnerable children, Melanie has shown unwavering tenacity in her belief that every child deserves a chance and every child deserves champions. Melanie's enduring passion is how she remembers is seen in not how she remembers just the names of the children that she works with, but also with the dreams and the aspirations, not just the challenges, but the breakthroughs, carrying the stories of hundreds of children who found their way forward because somebody cared. Melanie, thank you. Because of your commitment, our community and our community's most challenged children don't just survive their circumstances, but they have discovered the power to transcend it. Thank you for your service. Dr. Steve Sloan and his wife Julie, welcome, and congratulations. Julie and Steve are friends. Steve and Julie are classmates of my husband's, and Steve and I work together, so again, I'm going to tell a little more story than was in the Telegraph Herald. I know my mother knows your mom, they're great friends, and everyone who has Steve and knows Steve knows what a tremendous advocate he is for his patients. He is much loved, and he contributes not just through the love and support of his family, but the support of community. But I'm just going to go a little bit over here because Steve practices medicine, but his calling extends far beyond healing eyes and treating people. It extends to the healing of history itself, and that's where Steve and I became colleagues. Steve's great uncle is Chaplain Aloysius Schmidt, and many of you probably know this, but some of you don't. That's the city island that is named after Chaplain Schmidt Island. That's his great uncle. Chaplain Schmidt was on the Arizona at Pearl Harbor when it was attacked. He had just served Mass. He had been an assistant pastor down at St. Mary's before he enlisted, before World War II was declared. But he was in the chapel. He had said Mass. He had left. A Japanese torpedo hit the boat, struck the ship, and it started to turn turtle. So running through the up sideways boat, through the chambers, everyone I'm sure was trying to get to the top to get out if they could, to survive. And he ran into a chamber where there were a number of sailors who were looking up. There was an open portal that was, I think, 12 inches wide, very, very narrow. And they were trying to get out. Chaplain Schmidt was a tall, lanky, strong guy, good athlete, good golfer. And he was helping lift sailors up to the portal, and there was a Marine and a Navy sailor up on top pulling them through. And he saved, they think, between 12 and 14 lives that day he saved. And in the end, they said, "Come on, chap, we want to, help you." And they reached down to pull him up, but he was tall and lanky. Because there was no one to lift him up, he had a higher rank, so he ordered the people on the ship to drop him so he could go find others to save. So Al Schmidt fell and went out and, of course, perished that day on the Arizona. After that incident, he was awarded a non-combat medal for Marine and Navy enlistees. And immediately his family started in the 40s to try to correct the medal because it was a combat situation, and they felt he deserved recognition for the people he saved. But over many decades, that effort languished. Steve didn't forget it. And so Steve knows that history echoes through time, and that injustices that echo across generations can still be rectified, and service and bravery and courage can be recognized at any time. And so he joined with local veterans and with others of us, and we went to the Pentagon, and we worked with Congress, with Senator Joni Ernst. We worked with Vice President Biden at the time. We worked with the Pentagon and the Chief of Chaplains, and lo and behold, we had the medal corrected, and also his remains were brought back to Dubuque from the Punch Bowl in Hawaii. So I just want to say, to me, I'll never forget that experience, Steve, and your tenacity and persistence in keeping your family history, your family legend, and sharing that with all of us, because it's certainly a life to emulate, his bravery and his courage. So Steve, thank you for your work on that important project for our community. Thank you. Barry Lindahl, a friend, a colleague, one of my favorite Facebook friends with his gardening and his beautiful flowers that he tends to up there on the bluff. I really enjoyed. And frequently a Hy-Vee problem solver over a grocery cart when we worked at the city and we'd bump into each other at the grocery store. Barry doesn't quit working. I don't think I need to say that, because at an age when many consider retirement, Barry considers his work just hitting its stride. And what Barry understands is that only comes with time is that legal expertise becomes most valuable when it's seasoned with decades of watching how laws can and need to evolve and change, and how careful craftsmanship can make them right. The city attorney is essential to the functioning of a safe and healthy community. but also through the complexity of modern zoning, the challenges of growth management, the delicate balance between development and preservation, Barry has shown remarkable tenacity in protecting both our city's character and its future. We can see Barry's enduring passion in his willingness to dive into the minutia that many others would find tedious, because he knows that in city law, the details aren't just technical. They're the difference between a community that thrives and one that just simply survives. Because of Barry's commitment, our city doesn't just our city doesn't just navigate legal challenges, we use them as opportunities to become more thoughtful, more equitable, and more resilient. Thank you, Barry, for your work over many years and your continued work. And finally, Andy Butler. Andy Butler is a friend, a collaborator, and an advisor. Andy and Debbie Butler have contributed mightily to this community in the areas of brain health and in other areas as well, the Driftless, Dubuque Forward. And I can't not mention your parents who are here, because the entire Butler family's contribution and legacy to Dubuque is almost immeasurable. And thank you too. I want to thank John and Alice for being here today, but also from all of us, thank you so much for the establishment of the medical center and the medical school here in Dubuque. What an incredible legacy gift. Thank you. I think, as Amy pointed out, many people in this room could have chosen the path of the lanai down in Florida and the beverages on the shore. But there are real true leaders in our community, and there are people who have contributed, who chose not the path of comfort and comfortable detachment, but instead chose the harder road of active engagement. What Andy understands that only comes with time is that true leadership isn't about managing what exists, but it is about imagining what could be, and then doing the patient work that it takes to make it a reality. In a region where we too often see our young, best and brightest talents migrate elsewhere, Andy has shown remarkable tenacity in asking another question. Not how do we accept this exodus, but how do we create a community that makes people want to stay, to build, and to raise a family and dream here together. You can see Andy's enduring passion in projects that speak to his vision of what community can be, from Andy and Debbie's spearheading of the Children's Woodland Exploratory Area that will spark wonder in young minds and an appreciation for the environment, to forming citizen groups that don't just complain about what's missing, but dare to dream about what's possible. He understands that vibrant communities aren't just accidents, but they are the result of people willing to invest not just money, but imagination and time and hope. I do want to recognize, in partnership with Debbie, the huge contributions that they have made to the brain health understanding in Dubuque, but also across the state of Iowa, especially their focus on rural brain health. Because of Andy's commitment, our region doesn't just compete for young families, we create conditions where they can thrive affordably and build their best visions of themselves. He reminds us that community building is ultimately about possibility, the possibility that this place we call home can become the place our children choose to call home too. In closing, I just want to say these 5 individuals remind us that wisdom isn't simply accumulated knowledge. It's knowledge refined by experience and expressed through service. Their tenacity isn't mere stubbornness. It's the recognition that meaningful change requires sustained commitment, and their passion hasn't dimmed with time. It has deepened, becoming more focused, more generous, and more essential to who they are. Thank you all.
Yep, she's in trouble now with me. Thank you, Terry. Now, we're getting ready to get our 2025 Savvy Over 60 Awards presentation. I'm going to read the recipient's name and direct your attention to the screens because we have a short video presentation from the people that nominated these folks. So our first recipient is Andrew J. Butler of Cottingham and Butler.
Andy likes to talk about passing what is now the small pocket park off Central, and how he would always drive by and think, somebody should really do something about that. One day that narrative just kind of changed and he thought, well, what could I do about it? Since then, we've taken a piece of a vacant property, turned it into a pocket park. And so my advice to anybody who wants to make an impact is don't wait.
The Mississippi River in this part of the community is sacred to different people for different reasons. But I would say that there's a love for community that may fall within that spiritual realm.
Collaboration, community building, leadership, philanthropy. When you work in organizations in a community and you see the difference those organizations make, you recognize the impact creating and building more of that can create.
Early childhood, young children learn through play. And so not only is the seed being planted here, but it's being planted all over the Dubuque community.
The Downtown Child Care Center was the direct result of identifying a need, going out and saying, we're going to do something about it.
Brain health, physical health, academic performance.
All of those different aspects of Andy's work all go back into health and well-being. Not just like health of a community, health of business, but health of individual people living here.
When children and adults engage with nature, our brains change, our bodies change, our stress levels decompress, and we are able to experience the world through a different lens that ultimately leads to greater appreciation for something bigger than us.
He really likes the quote by Harry Truman, "It's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit." I might be paraphrasing. The long and short of it is, it's about working together, it's about the end result, it's not about the credit.
The work that he does in this community, the work that he does at Cottingham and Butler, it's not about him, right? It's about the people that work for C&B, it's about the Dubuque community, and it's about the children and the families who live here.
We're going to see those impacts and outcomes generations from now, so the best is yet to come.
Thank you, Andy. You're pretty savvy, man.
Congratulations to Andy Butler.
They said I could say a few words, so I'm just going to say a few words. First of all, I really like to thank the TH and all the people who created this event and nominated all of us. For me, it's really humbling. Wendy did say it. I love the quote by Harry Truman, "If you don't care who gets the credit, it's amazing what you can accomplish." This is incredibly humbling. Last night I was doing some reading, and I also found a quote by Albert Einstein that really struck a chord with me. It said, the communities that we create are a process of our thinking. To change our communities, we have to change our thinking. And that got me to thinking. Change is hard. Ideas are easy, but change is really, really hard. And what we've all been able to accomplish in Dubuque, I think, is due in large part to the fact that our community is really good at engaging in the difficult conversations, having critical thought together as a group, and then aligning behind good ideas. Whether it's work-related, whether it's education, this community fosters an environment that helps all of us succeed. Cottingham and Butler has been a large part of my life, obviously. The people who are on the team are from Dubuque. They're all a product of Dubuque, and that's a big part of why we're able to do what we do. And it's really important for Debbie and me and Mom and Dad and Ryan and Priscilla and their family to go provide support back to the community because the community has been so good for us. So Again, I'd just like to thank TH Media and the people who nominated me for this recognition. It's amazing and it's humbling, so thank you.
Our next recipient is Melanie Dill of St. Mark Youth Enrichment.
People will forget what you said, and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I probably can't tell you everything she said, and it would take me forever to tell you everything she's done. I can tell you in every situation how she made me feel. Life has never been about her. It's been about how does she serve a higher purpose and a God. So when you have that strong spiritual sense and a real sense of what your spiritual gifts are, you just show up different. She always makes you feel connected to her and to whatever you're doing with her. It's something that is missing for a lot of people, is that sense of connection and feeling like you belong. One of the things that might surprise people, if you met Melanie and you just knew her in her work environment and whatever, and maybe because it surprised me a little bit, was they will actually just jump on their motorcycle and go on these long bike rides. It was just hard for me to picture Melanie like, you know, biker girl, like, yeah. And now it totally is not, hard for me to imagine that. When we go for these nature walks, that's good for your brain health, it's good for your physical health, it's good for your spiritual health, it's good for your whole being. And after a walk, you show back up to your desk or your program or wherever, and you are better for it. Melanie also, in addition to all the walks, created these signs that are in different spots. There's one that would be on the front door that would say, please pause and think about the energy that you're bringing into this space. What do you need to do so that when you walk in here, the energy you bring in is one that uplifts? When you would grab the door in the morning, it's right there, and you read it, it makes you check yourself. She knows her values at the core. She knows them, and she lives them. Major on the majors. Like, is that really worth being upset about? Is that really worth making a big deal about? And if it is, do something about it. If it isn't, check yourself. We're going to miss her immensely.
Congratulations to Melanie Dill. As my husband would say, short people. I just want to thank you all for this incredible opportunity. Being a part of the St. Mark family has truly been a privilege. My 11-year journey was never just mine. It's part of my supportive teammates, my wonderful husband, and so many others who have stood by my side. Over my 44 years in education, I have made it my mission to lead with integrity, compassion, inclusion, and faith. Those values have shaped every decision, every program, and every partnership I've had the privilege to build. One of my fondest memories while serving as curriculum and enrichment coordinator was expanding our network of community partners. Those were partners who gave the students meaningful relationships and hands-on opportunities. One partner stands out. About 9 years ago, Beth McGorry and I met with the community-oriented police department to see maybe they would want to come and be involved in our after-school program. Well, they enthusiastically said, sure, that'll be great. The first time they came to program, the students were very apprehensive. Some hid under tables, some had scowls, a lot of them had crossed arms, and one in particular whispered, Miss Beth, Miss Dill, why are the police here? But soon something amazing happened. Those same students started challenging those police officers to weekly dodgeball games, reading together, playing board games together, and most importantly, building trust. Today, they have a standing date for a water balloon fight every summer. And what Amelia said, it's today. So if you want to see something fun, what time is it, Amelia? It's in a half an hour, so we'll hurry. But it's amazing. It's totally amazing. So many amazing partners, and too many to name, have helped shape the lives of our students. I will forever be grateful for the ones that I've had the privilege to work with. And although I officially retired last month, St. Mark is not getting rid of me, nor is Dubuque, because I plan to do a lot of volunteering. Finally, thank you to the Telegraph Herald for this meaningful recognition. I hope by honoring the five of us and the work that we have done in the community inspires others to share their gift, because each of us has been given something special and it's meant to be shared. I want to leave you with a quote that has stayed with me since 1977. I heard it first from Tom Landry, then the Dallas Cowboy coach, at a youth conference in Waco, Texas. He said, "Life is a gift from God, and what you do with it is your gift to God. Go out into the world and make a difference." Thank you. Thank you, Melanie. Our next recipient is Barry Lindahl, from Dubuque City Attorney Office.
I'm laughing because do you know what my first response to this was? Like, what catchphrase or quote would you associate with Barry? Do you mean beyond his Ralph Lauren suits? He's an impeccable dresser. Like, it's hysterical. We joke about him being the best dressed person in the community. He's just very dapper. His history and the ability to remember things. A few years ago, I walked in his office and I said, okay, I am facing this particular situation. Have you ever come across this? And he looked at me and he said, oh, you remember, that was the XYZ case probably a couple years ago. It said precisely what I needed and what I was looking for, but it wasn't from 10 years ago. It was from when I was 10 years old. People, partnerships, and planning, those are really important pillars. But what's kind of lurking in the background in all of that is like kind of Barry as the quiet architect. None of us want to be in the spotlight or getting the attention, hence the reason why we were all like, oh, we didn't know we had to be on camera for this. Because it's not our favorite place to be, right? We kind of like to be in the background, kind of a cog in something bigger. Good agreements make good partners and good paths forward. We do our due diligence and we do our job right, like he does on the front end. Good contract, a good agreement, a good lease. It navigates any bumps in the road for us 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road. He has sat around tables just like this for almost 5 decades, brokering leases and development agreements and partnerships with organizations in the community that have literally transformed the landscape of our community. Developers, city staffers, state or federal government, they all bring something to the table. And what Barry does quietly in the background is to put all of those pieces together in a way that moves the project forward. His background as a professor allows him to ask people the questions that elicit the information that maybe they have not thought of. The passion or the energy in the room might make it appear that people are in conflict. He points out that they want the same thing, want to get to the same endpoint. He literally writes the book on civil procedure. Like, there are books all over the place that have his name on them. There are a lot of cases where Dubuque has made the law over the course of the years. Barry's name, it's on those cases, and he has made law that everyone across the state relies on, and that's a heck of a, legacy to leave.
Congratulations to Barry Lindahl.
I just noticed my award says Savvy way over 60. Anyway, thank you, Mike, Amy, Terry, Corinna. I'll get back at you someday for this. And the TH, thank you for this opportunity. You know, it's really given me a chance to kind of reflect over what I've been doing the last few years. So if you'll give me a couple of minutes to share some of my thoughts with you. My family moved to Dubuque in 1961 from Waukegan, Illinois. I was a sophomore in high school. And of course, it was beyond my wildest dreams that I would be a city attorney for the city of Dubuque for 50 years. But here we are, in the blink of an eye almost. August 1st, it will be my 50-year anniversary with the city of Dubuque. And what that means is 3 city managers, 12 mayors, 41 city council members, and over 800 regular city council meetings. So some people would say that's savvy, other people would say that's just absolutely crazy. So, how did I manage to do that? Well, one of the things is I got some advice from the city attorney who hired me back in 1975, Romolo Russo, who had also been a mayor and a city council member and then city attorney for over 20 years. He told me, he said, never confuse the day-to-day operation of government with the intrigue of politics. And I've tried to live by that for the last 50 years, and it's kept me out of trouble. And I always advise young city attorneys to follow that same advice. Focus on the day-to-day operation of the city and forget about all of those other things that may be going on around you. So beyond that, in addition to that, of course, is the tremendous support I've had for 50 years from all of the city managers, elected officials, department heads, city staff that I've worked with. They've all just provided tremendous support for me and encouragement. And of course, our own city attorney's office as well, my mom and dad, and my wife Rhea and his son Christopher. Chris has told me I should go for another 50 years, but probably not going to make it that far. So then I want to make a special thank you to Mike Van Milligan. Mike, can you believe it? We've been working together for over 30 years now. And I think we made a great team. I wouldn't be standing here today without all of the support you've given me over those 30 years. So I hope we can continue for a few more years anyway. So City of Dubuque is a very different place now than it was in 1975 when I first started working here. And I'd like to think that I contribute in some small part to where the city is today. City Attorney Russo, when he took me around that very first day and introduced me to some people, he said, I think he's going to be good for the city. And I hope that's my legacy someday. People will say, he was good for the city. He was good for the city. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mary. Indeed, good for the city. Our next recipient is Louise Camus of Clark University.
I was helping her write a bio for something, and she was like, you put too many adjectives in. I am not stunning. I am not inspiring. And I was like, you have to pick one. You have to let me use one adjective to describe you. And I think she let me use her work was inspiring, but then the rest of the week, every time she saw me, she was like, do I look stunning today? So she has a great sense of humor. She is a firecracker in the absolute best way. She's a big idea person, and she's always looking for the next thing to make herself better, but to also make her students and the people she works with better. She was one of the first people on the Arts on the River Committee. She was the first full-time employee at the Dubuque Museum of Art. She helped our students connect with Crescent Community Healthcare to do a mural. She always thinks big picture. If you look at some of her exhibits, she's not afraid to take on heavy emotional topics like aging and decay in nature, or even emotional topics like faith. She takes these big concepts and approaches them in a really profound way. I think the real value from Louise's experience is the power of connection. The Sisters of Charity of the Blessed Virgin Mary are the founding sisterhood of Clark, and they've been very influential on her life and their core values of freedom, education, charity, and justice. She brings that sense of the good of all into a lot of the pieces she creates. And she shares that with students. She fosters that sense of think about how your art and your actions can lift others up. I Don't See Anything That Isn't Beautiful was a BVM sister that she had a close relationship with. And as that sister was going through dementia and maybe changing her perspective on life, Louise was capturing that and telling the story of her friend. She's been exhibited at the Dubuque Museum of Art, so I had seen her pieces just out in the world, so then to meet her was a really interesting experience to put the artist to the art. When she was at Clark in the 70s, there was no social media, but she is someone who has used social media not only to promote her own artwork, but the Clark Arts Department is one of our most popular pages. They are always showcasing wonderful pieces, and she uses it so intelligently, thinking ahead as to how showcasing the student experience of today gets that student of tomorrow.
Congratulations to Louise Camus.
Good morning. When I came in this morning, one of the first people I ran into was Jack O'Connor. And I said to Jack, well, you know, part of this you're responsible for. After I graduated from Clark, and we now know what era that was. Terry set that up. In 1977, I moved back to the Chicago area, but came back the next fall for Jack and Mary Beth's wedding. And while I was here, someone told me about a job that had just been posted for the Dubuque Art Association, that they were hiring their first-time employee. It was part of the CETA program, which was a government program back in the 70s. Jerry Ensler was hired for what became the River Museum at the same time. And so I did get that job and moved back to Dubuque, and the rest is history. So thanks, Jock, and thanks, Mary Beth. You can all thank Jock and Mary Beth. So I'd also like just to thank, again, the TH, my colleagues and friends. So I am entering my 43rd year of teaching at Clark, where I'm passionate about teaching emerging artists, and also passionate about teaching community. When I was a student at Clark, my mentors at that time, encouraged students to be involved in the community, to go to, art openings at the 4th Street Art Gallery, if you remember that. And so, because art can't just be held in the studio, that it's important to have that context in the community as well. And so that's something that I've really tried to instill in students and colleagues. And so my colleagues will say, that I often say, well, here's an idea. Well, we could do this. Well, when Fall into Art started downtown, and now, on First Fridays downtown, well, Clark isn't exactly downtown, but well, I bet we could secure a place downtown to have like temporary exhibits. And so I'm grateful for the Dubuque support of those endeavors. And so my Clark colleagues and students and alums have been really involved in just revitalization and impact of the arts in Dubuque, and including, voices, including, again, First Fridays, the new art museum, Bluff Strokes, and just a variety of city opportunities. And so we hope we've helped make, a Dubuque a great place to live. I'm always trying to encourage, students like me who are not from Dubuque to come back and make Dubuque a home. And so it's important, that the arts are a vital part of that home. So thank everyone here for, supporting the various efforts of arts in Dubuque and making it a really great place for emerging artists and designers to live here. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise. As I introduce our last recipient, I'll mention since I referenced Terry, that Terry and I are related and descend from the same line of strong women. Our next recipient is Steve Sloan, and Steve's wife Julie and I are first cousins. So also carrying on the legacy. So. Next recipient is Dr. Steve Sloan of Vision Health Center.
Spend a lot of time away from your family when you're at work. I've learned the importance of creating a family environment at work, but you gotta have fun. If you don't have fun, it's gonna be a long day. So
Dr. Sloan loves to do practical jokes, so you have to be very careful. If you start that with him, you have to be ready.
It's usually started with some kind of a prop.
He always tells us to have fun while we're at work, so we do. There's nothing better than when you get to see someone come in and tell us stories about Steve many, many years ago, and now they're bringing their kids in, or their children are bringing their children in.
I had actually been to him as an eye doctor.
I always saw Dad's passion for taking care of people. The team at the office, patients, or people in the community. He just always goes that extra mile.
Relationships that he has built over the last 42 years are something astounding.
What makes a business successful is when you care.
You went to Loris, I went to Loris, and we have a lot of interns that come over from Loris that are interested in the medical field. A lot of kids who want to be optometrists. Over the last, honestly, 18 years, I probably have seen 9 of them personally that have come and started with our office and have gone on to optometry school. Dr. Sloan is a genuinely nice person.
He's very genuine.
When he walks in, I will guarantee you he will stop by and make sure he says hello. He's easy to work with.
He cares for his staff, for the team around him. He cares for his patients.
Always encouraging and made you want to come back the next day. His major legacy that he has is going to be his family. Without the support of his wife and his 4 kids, I don't think he'd be the man that he is today.
What the theme there is the emphasis on family and group decision making. When decisions are made at the office, we have team meetings about it. We have discussions about it.
From his dream 40 years ago into what it's become today.
It takes all hands on deck to make something successful.
It takes a village to create a practice of this size.
That theme that he started is very alive and well today.
Congratulations to Dr. Steve Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Amy and Mike. When I came in this morning, they checked my ID to see if I was over 60. And I appreciate that. And that was actually a really good way to start the day. So thank you. No, I appreciate all you being here. Your presence makes this day even more special. So thank you. If any of you have been around me for a while, you've probably heard me say, always surround yourself with great people. And I can tell you, I wouldn't be here today if I wasn't surrounded by some great people. And I would like to kind of identify those people this morning, the key people in my life and my career who've made a big difference. First of all, my beautiful wife, Julie. Julie should stand up. Julie, that's typical Julie. She works quietly behind the scenes, always making sure things go well, always with a smile on her face. And she raised 4 great kids. And I can tell you with complete honesty, I wouldn't be up here today. It wouldn't be for you. Thank you. 4 great kids. We are so fortunate we have 4 great kids, and I would like them to stand up to. I'm going to embarrass them again. That's kind of a dad's deal. So Philip, Katie, Stephanie, and Ben, if you guys would just stand up, please. So everyone knows who they are. That goes to the point that I'm going to make. So I said to the kids, if you ever listen to me, just listen one time and please take after your mother. So I'm happy to report they actually did listen and they took after Julie. And they're all very successful in their various fields. They're leaders, they're really good people, and they're just a lot of fun to be around. So thank you guys, and more importantly, thanks for taking after your mother. I appreciate that. I've also had the opportunity to work with 3 really good docs. Dr. Martha Smith can't be here today. She had a family commitment, but Dr. Stephanie Sloan Flamage and Dr. Luke Flamage, will you guys get out of your chair? But probably not, okay. Anyway, it's really a great opportunity for me. These docs are so always focused on trying to find ways to provide better care, better treatment, better service to our patients. And they do it all the time. And I really feel it's an honor to be associated with these people. And I'll promise I'll try not to say, well, we always used to do it that way, or why are you doing it this way? It always worked better that way. But again, thank you guys. You're great. Staff, there's 3 here that are 3 of the superstars. Tempe Youthy, Sandy Sieverding, and Ellen Patch. You guys, I don't know if you get out of your chairs or not, but probably not. After watching that video, I thought they might be in like witness protection. So, no, our staff is great. I would come back from meetings and I would say, you know, the talent you guys have, I feel is second to not many. And then when I factor in the quality of care, the extra effort you give, you know, the kindness you show, you guys blow everyone out of the water. So it really is a pleasure to work with you guys. And lastly, and very importantly, I think I have been blessed with the best friends that anyone could ever ask for. These people have been through thick and thin with me. These guys and gals just make this journey so much more enjoyable. So I thank my friends very much. They're just the greatest, so thank you. And lastly, I would like to thank TH Media and Amy and Mike for this event. And I look forward to the Nifty After 90 program in just a couple years. So again, thank you, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, guys.
Well, I hope you have all felt as inspired as I have by the words from these award recipients. So thank you to Keith and the Diamond Joe staff for the lovely breakfast, and thanks to all of you for being here today. Cheers to all our winners. Have a great day. Thanks.